Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast presented by Gameday Tailgate Experience. Elevate your tailgate when the Steelers travel to Jacksonville, Florida on November 18th to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. For more information, visit steelcityunderground.com/Jaguars tailgate. We'll talk a little bit more about that specific trip in a little bit later in this show. Joining me once again, Brian E. Roach, and we might be a little more excited now when that comes around. It's about 5 weeks out now, that big tailgate party and a trip to Jacksonville, but it's all the more sweeter with another Steelers victory at Paul Brown Stadium. I could get used to this, Brian. Well, I can't get used to having the anxiety, of course, so I should ask how you're doing as my ticker is still ticking.
I just got one question.
Yes?
Who day?
I don't know. Who day? I don't know.
We day. That's who day. We day.
I can tell you who day is. Who day is the GOAT, and that GOAT is Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger, and I do believe the Wi-Fi connection is excellent.
It's very, very lit.
Oh, lit. One of my favorite words to use, along with grown-ass man.
Grown-ass men. Many, many grown-ass men.
Folks are asking for it on Twitter. We have now caved to this. This has been like an ongoing thing over the last 2-3 years. We've been saying this on various shows, even in the off-season. It's really starting to pick up with Vance Mack Truck McDonald. That one, too, seems like it's catching on the Twitter sphere, Brian, but the grown-ass man thing, definitely. We may even start putting this up on the website as an official thing. I don't know if we call it GAM. I guess, saying it isn't exactly, what do you want to say, profanity. It might offend a few people, so I'm sorry if it does, whatever. But a lot of other people are really excited about it because we had a few of those today. It all starts, It starts with the Mack truck right there. Vance McDonald, the Bengals couldn't bring this big boy down.
Not in the first half, boy, I'll tell you. Ben, you want to talk about somebody having a Wi-Fi connection? It was Ben and Vance. And again, Vance McDonald with the grown man strength, the grown man power, just refusing to allow the Bengals to tackle him, getting first downs, extra yardage. Definitely a grown-ass man.
Vance, do me one favor, buddy. Get both hands on the ball next time. Please.
Oh, yeah, please.
Hey, just please. I beg you. This is just like I'm on my hands and knees, just begging. Oh, thank you, Juju Smith-Schuster. I was just bragging. It wasn't even a humble brag to Brian. I had the bold predictions that I had for this game, and just to quickly run down, aside from a 5th straight game at Paul Brown Stadium and a 7th straight Steelers victory over the Bengals, who thought they had it in the bag and scored with a minute or so left, my cousin's just like, this defense is terrible, allow them to just score. And for once, he's usually ahead of me, but since I was getting the feed direct from the antenna with no delay, I was able to spoil it for him and said they already did. And we know 3 timeouts, a minute and something. I was kind of mad at Ryan Switzer for taking that out with a minute 17 left.
I yelled.
Just kneel, 25-yard line. Those extra yards, if you aren't aware out there, folks, 20 to 25 yards is every yard you go towards the 25 exponentially increases the percentage of scoring. I mean, this is an analytics thing. And so when they changed the kickoff touchbacks, they were trying to incentivize teams to just kneel. There's not really an advantage to doing it. And it took 5 seconds off the clock that I thought maybe precious time. 3 timeouts is more than plenty when you have Ben Roethlisberger and a bunch of his weapons. The Wi-Fi connection was it was going in and out. You would have thought you were at Gillette Stadium where technology doesn't work at all there for the opposing team, and then all of a sudden, Ben started to get this going, and the perfect play, I want to say if I looked this play up on film, this one is the one that was called against the Miami Dolphins in the first quarter of that wild card game where it was freezing cold. It was just a quick slant where Juju Smith-Schuster kind of almost it it was disguised as the screen pass play that they actually ended up using on the 2-point conversion. And AB takes it to the house. I'm jumping around like crazy. I'm yelling expletives and stuff. It's about time. I mean, I got some other humble brags here, but I'll catch those as we cover the offense and defense.
Yeah, look, this was the way that the day started for me. Is, I've talked about my one of my younger brothers who's a Bengals fan, dropped on his head as a youth. All those things.
Sad story.
It's very sad.
Multiple times. I mean, one time you were just holding him by the ankles and just dropped them after you found out he was a Bengals fan.
Yeah, well, it's what happens. And he starts my day off by trash talking me in a subtle way. He texts me and he's like, feeling confident, bro. Ha, ha, ha. And I didn't say anything back. I just said, yeah, I'm feeling confident. I said 31-24 Bengals or Steelers. And he's like, nope, we day. It's a we day. And as soon as he started that, I knew we were going to win this game because one of the consistencies of my life is if my brother trash talks before the game, they will lose that game.
That's fantastic. Oh, my goodness.
I had to, at the end of the game, I had to text him back and say, need I remind you what happens when you trash talk prior to the game? And his response was, I can only agree.
I don't know your brother's name, but I'm going to call him Vontez Roach.
Oh, no, call him that. He's definitely, he's got more character than that.
Oh man,
does he have his back for that one?
Does he listen in at all by any chance to the show?
Oh, I doubt it. He hates the Steelers with a passion. I doubt that.
You got to make sure he listens to this one. You got to tell him.
I will. I will at him.
You got to give him a shout out
on one of the tweets and see what he has to say about it.
Yeah,
I'll tell him he only has to listen through the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, well,
and up and down. I mean, this was a game you didn't know. You just didn't know what was going to happen. Quite honestly, this felt like a game the Steelers should have blown them out on. It felt like they were dominating this game, and yet they had a huge advantage in time of possession. I think in yards, it just 20-plus yard plays. They had all the splash plays for a while. The Bengals didn't have any at one point, and the Steelers had 4. It just felt like this game should have been out of hand. It should have been what the one mistaken site had it listed as 28-0, but it wasn't. And I know there were few Steelers fans that when it was 20-14 felt comfortable.
No, who seriously thought they would feel comfortable at that point? It's like you need that. That's why the James Conner thing and overturning at least Dan. Let me tell you the brilliance of Dan Fouts. That Juju Smith-Schuster play where he ends up with his helmet down first, and all they're doing is him and Ian Engel are doing that's the play-by-play, and Dan Fouts, of course. I was wondering if he was a former Cincinnati quarterback and not a San Diego Chargers quarterback. He's doing the color commentary, or he's the analyst. I don't know much about analyzation here when he says Big Ben's jersey is clean. I know what he's meant by that, but they play on turf, dude. They play on field turf. It has little rubber pellets chewed up from tires. That's how there's no dirt. Everyone's jersey is clean, even though it was raining. I mean, it was a little wet. It was a little off white from the light, but they were praising the officials for being able to pinpoint the Juju Smith-Schuster being down and not in the end zone for a touchdown, but James Conner, who is clearly crossed the goal line, I don't know if it's a side judge or back judge, it's over there. If you look at this replay, folks, look at the pylon and look where the referee is standing on the sideline. You have one job. What do you think the most important? I'm going to ask you, Brian. You probably know this. What's the most important goal or objective in any game or any sport?
Pay attention?
Score more points than the other team. So what do you think might be the most important thing for that referee to do? Now, if he was behind the play and running up to the goal line and trying to get in a position to mark where Conner may have been down, it's one thing. But he was standing he wasn't standing parallel with the goal line, and that's how they blew that call. He nor the guy that's usually positioned on the other end, who could have been trailing the play. I can't tell because there weren't that many camera angles. I'm going to see the old 22 if I could, when that comes out, if I could see where the referees were. It drove me absolutely bonkers. And again, I've asked this a million times, when it's that close, why aren't the referees just calling it a touchdown and allowing instant replay, what it's designed for, to do the work for them so they don't look foolish in this type of situation, and they get bailed out even if they do. Instead, it's almost like an ego thing of where, I don't know if they get graded a certain way or whatever by whoever does the assessment of these games in order to see what assignments, and if they keep making money or whatever be the case. Oh, well, you know what? He made the call on the field. It's worth a few extra points. Screw it. You got to do what's right for the game. That was not what's right for the game, and that's what made this a 21-20 game, and having to have Big Ben with 3 timeouts and a minute 12 left on the clock to go down the field. And good thing the Steelers did what they did, or else this would be the talking point of how El Riveron would be saying, well, the officials screwed this up again, but sorry, it's still a loss. There's nothing we can do to protest or change this. It was just absolutely ridiculous. I think you could tell that by the way I'm reacting.
Yeah, well, look, this is my take. I think that absolutely he broke the plane with that ball. I agree with you 100%. The ref is out of position. He should have been standing at the goal line looking to see if that ball breaks the plane before he goes down. That's the point of the goal line, and that's why he needs to be there to see it. It's a, look, hashtag the refs stink. They stink. We know they stink. But here's the thing that I will say, because people are going to give Tomlin grief for not challenging that. And I think it was a smart no challenge. The reason I think it was a smart no challenge is based on the angles that we saw on TV, they were never going to overturn it because you didn't have a clear view of the sideline, of a straight view down the goal line.
Maybe.
I don't know where don't we have goal line cameras? I thought we had goal line cameras. Yeah, where the hell were the pylon cameras in this replay? But based on what we saw, I don't think it would have been smart for Tomlin to try and challenge that because he would have lost. I think it would have not been overturned. Do I think it was the right call? Of course not. The refs very rarely make the right call. But it was a right decision not to challenge that. It was a dumb decision to challenge the one he did because that was nowhere near correct. It was not – Switzer was not going to get that call. And there was no real reason. I kind of got it because it was towards the end of the second quarter. What difference does it make at that point? You're not really losing a field goal, but you're losing a challenge, which you might have wanted to keep in your pocket for the second half. I didn't like that challenge, but I'm fully in support of the no challenge on the second.
Only because of the Switzer outcome. If he had the extra flag in his pocket, then it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Then you do it.
Exactly. And just to give folks some insight on both of these, and when it comes to camera angles, everything like this, and why it's so important for the referee to be where he needs to be, the goal line. You have a big white striped line. If you end up going out on like a football field, anywhere, high school field, one of these nice ones, not somebody that's got the rickety spray paint cans and the wheels that are bouncing up and down on a grass field, go out on one of these nice, almost $1 million field turf fields they install in some of these high school stadiums and stand on any of the yard markers. Do it from the stands. Line yourself directly up with it. The scientific fact that the human eye is like almost dead perfect with a 90-degree angle. So if you're standing parallel with something, you can tell as to whether or not something else goes across that line, provided you are 90 degrees with it, which the official was not. So I'm going to let that one go. More humble bragging. This is not humble bragging, but I want to call it humble bragging. I want to make it seem that way because the Steelers won, and I'm in a good jovial mood. We didn't wait like 48 hours to record this version of the Steel City Underground podcast. We didn't have to cool off. We're feeling all the jitters. We're being emotional. We may get this up before Tina even does her quick Yinzing response after the games, where she writes up on the website. So I said the Steelers would drop 350 plus on offense. I was way off. This is where the humbleness comes in. I was so off. They put 481 net total offensive yards on the Bengals. I said that they would also get 2 pair of 100-yard-plus receivers. Antonio Brown on the quick slant eclipsed that for 48 of his 105 total with a touchdown up to that point. He only had 4 catches for a little over 50, which is what I thought A.J. Green was only going to be able to do. We'll talk about that on the defensive end as well. Juju, the other one, being 7 for 111. We talked Vance Mac Truck McDonald, 68 yards off of 7 catches. I like the Mac Truck. Some people want to call him Big Mac or Vanimal. Vanimal is almost kind of close because it's like a van. We had the bus. I'm trying to get to that level of him dominating people. But let's talk about some nicknames here. Here's a man who doesn't need one. It was already given to him years ago. The Terminator, James Conner. You want to talk about grown-ass men. He's definitely a grown-ass man. I added you on Twitter, by the way, with Juju on that touchdown catch. I said he's a grown-ass boy. Because he's still like 20 years old. I don't know if is he a man? Yeah, I guess he could be a grown-ass man too.
Yes. Look, I like grown-ass boy for Juju because look, he is a boy in a man's body right now. And, I don't want to say negative things because I love Juju's spirit. I love Juju's playfulness. I love the silliness because at however old I am, which is old, ancient. I am also a boy in a man's body, just an old man's body. and I would be doing the same crazy crap he's doing, and I love it. So, but grown-ass boy is good. I'm good with that. Look, it's the same award. It's just junior version because when he just said, no thank you, sir, you will not be having that ball, I will be, and snatched it right away. My wife thought it was a interception, and I said nope, watch it, and sure enough it's like boom, took the ball away, and she's like, snatch.
Yes, this isn't the replacement refs out there that don't know the rule. It goes to the offense if there's like a simultaneous catch. Something very similar happened in the Browns-Chargers game where Cleveland got trounced, by the way. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, Browns coming back to being the Browns. A little bit there.
But right in time, too, because we get the bye to prepare for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's, look, I certainly James Conner gets a grown-ass man award. Vance McDonald gets a grown-ass man award. Juju gets the grown-ass boy award. I'm going to throw this out there as another one, and I'm giving one to Ben.
Ooh.
And the reason I'm giving one to Ben is he wasn't perfect. Look, I'm screaming at the TV a couple times on that last drive because he was a little high, a little wild, but he recognized it. He went over to the sidelines and he said to Fichtner, or Fichtner said to him, I don't know which way it went, but they basically got together and said, let's run this play. They ran that play, and they get a win. And Ben was good. I mean, he was good. And 369 yards, over 100 quarterback rating, a fourth quarter comeback. This was the kind of stuff that makes people go on the Escalooser in Cincinnati. This was vintage Ben. This is why he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. This is why AB is a Hall of Fame receiver. The two of them were not always in sync, but as you said, the Bengals do a good job of trying to take AB out of rhythm. And Ben took what was given him. No big mistakes, no huge issues. And I think for the first time, I think Ben is deserving of a grown-ass man award in this game.
That sounds good to me. I'm totally there with you. 69.6% of his passes completed. Just absolutely ridiculous. And Zach Meckler and Eric Herman will also love the fact that not only was it 69.6% of the completed. Yes, the Beavis and Butthead. that comes out.
He said 69.
Yes, and I'll also say it again, 369 yards passing. So these guys, you just go right down the dial right there, 369.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. 100.7 for the QB rating. And I had something else because more humble bragging from the predictions. I'm going to get them all wrong maybe the next time, which that'll be okay. I've been getting a lot of these very close. I said Connor got to touch the ball over 20 times in this game. I said over 100 all-purpose yards. I didn't think he'd rush for 100. and the Bengals had only given up 4 rushing touchdowns in 5 games up to this point. And Connor just steamrolls him for 2 TDs, 19 carries for 111, 5.8 on the average, and something of the nature of, what's he got, 7 or 8 touchdowns on the year already?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just rolling along, and, everybody's still talking about, Le'Veon Bell hasn't, there's no word of what's going on with Le'Veon Bell. Well, they're going to have to tell you that James Conner, not only on pace, he is already currently getting up there. Le'Veon Bell, his career for rushing touchdowns, his career high was 9 last year, 2017. His rookie season and his sophomore year, 2013 and 2014, he also had 8 apiece. So you've already got Connor heading into that territory, and just he's doing things where there are very few other players in the National Football League that are capable of matching his totals.
Yeah, here's a stat for you. James Conner has 100-plus rush yards and 2-plus rush TDs for the 3rd time this season. This is his 3rd game with over 100 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Our boy Le'Veon Bell, who made a little comment about James during the game, a nice comment, was like, damn, James, strong, when one of those grown-ass man runs he did. But Le'Veon has 100-plus rush yard and 2-plus rush TDs in 3 games as well, but in his career.
Yeah, that's a very tough one. There's a great stats guy to follow for some of this stuff, by the way, on Twitter, Dom Ranelli, who will blow your mind. He's an employee of the Steelers, so that's a good follow. I'll actually get his handle on here because I don't necessarily want to steal anything of Dom's. I always give him credit or just retweet it because
I stole that from NFL Research, but Dom is the man. I agree with you.
Yeah, Dom had another one too. If I could actually find his Twitter handle, of course, which is sneaky. D. Rinelli, Rinelli. Steelers have won or tied each of their previous 12 road games against AFC teams dating back to November 20th, 2016 at Cleveland. 11-0-1, which is very good for now the Steelers improving to 3-2-1 and 1-1-1 against AFC North Division opponents. Ben and AB are connecting on stuff too. He's got a whole lot of great stuff here, but Connor, sticking with that trend, the 4th Steeler player, is sixth time though, but 4th Steelers player, so somebody's done it multiple times, to rush for at least 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in back-to-back games. He joins Jerome Bettis, Barry Foster, and Franco Harris. And I loved Barry Foster when I was a kid, man.
Oh, yeah.
Barry was the man, even though it was like 1 and maybe 1.5 seasons where he had a big year. But I mean, those are some big names. That's Franco and the Bus, 2 Hall of Famers, and James is getting it done right now. That's why I said he's the Terminator.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, I'm going to bring up a criminal because I feel like I need to bring the criminal up. And that would be our boy Vontaze, who he didn't get nailed for anything in this game, but boy was he trying. He forearm shivers Antonio Brown after I can't remember, Bates. Was it Bates hit him in the head?
Bates came in. Yeah, Bates' helmet, kind of face mask. The stuff they always throw the flags against the Steelers for, especially Mike Mitchell last year. Yeah, that's what happened. And then, of course, Burfict sees an opportunity to try and sneak something in, and he hits Juju, and I think he also overruns it and runs over Bates too.
Yeah, well, it was AB. He hits AB in the head.
I'm sorry, AB, not Juju.
Yeah, because they made AB go check into the concussion protocol to see if he was fine, and he was right back out, so he was fine. But he got embarrassed by Vance McDonald early in the game, which is another reason Vance McDonald is a grown ass man. Anytime you can embarrass Vontaze Burfict, you get a grown ass man award. And then it sent Burfict to the sidelines to pout. He comes back in the game. He does that. In one of Connor's runs, he aims. I mean, he literally, if you want to talk about targeting, he is aiming his helmet at James Conner's jaw. And Connor just pushes him out of the way and says, I don't think so, punk.
I love it. I love that.
Awesome. And so, look, this guy, I don't want to go off too much because he didn't end up having an impact. But, man, it's hard to watch him play because, I mean, he kicked James Conner in the head. on one of the touchdowns James had, very casually, but he did it. And he is just a punk. And I'm tired. I'm really tired of seeing him. If J.J. Watt gets a $20,000 fine for essentially love kissing Matt Ryan's leg, then Vontaze Burfict needs to get a fine for this nonsense that he pulled in this game, even though it wasn't flagged.
Oh, I'm totally all the way with you on that. I mean, it's just Burfict is just. I don't know what else to say. It makes me want to vomit every time I see him play. Before we jump to defense, we were talking special teams with Switzer. Boswell, I had him down for 3 field goals. I thought he'd make them. He did just fine today with 2 attempts, much-needed attempts. And he gets his 2 extra points. Nothing of major consequence there, thank God. A 24-yarder, or 21 and a 24-yarder, of course. So short distance. He had missed not a handful quite yet. I think 3 total, all from 40 to 49. That helped keep the Steelers in it. Jordan Berry had a really ugly punt at one point. Then he had some nice punting at some points. But the special teams unit left the defense almost on an island before the end of the second quarter.
Twice in a row.
Twice
2 in a row.
I thought there was a block in the back on the one that was completely missed. And I was mentioning about Cleve Blakeman before we got to this game, and I talked about 4 out of the last 5 that he had with the Steelers were all, including the game I thought this was going to be like, which almost it was a little back and forth at times. I thought it was almost going to be like that Cowboys and Steelers game from a couple years ago where Zeke ran at the end and, they just let everything go, no holds barred. But they did catch Dre Kirkpatrick totally mugging AB. It was like, thank you, Cincinnati, for always shooting yourself in the foot. Thank you. We'll jump to the defense here in a second, Brian, but I wanted to bring...
I got to mention one thing. One thing about Jordan Berry, because you brought this subject up. Guess what the long he had was?
Tell me, buddy.
69. It was 69, God. My friend. That's right.
We're losing listeners at a rapid rate as we deteriorate into immature old men. We are young men in old men's bodies, and I'm going to be partying down in Jacksonville, Florida for GTE's big tailgate party November 18th as the Steelers take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, that's still scheduled as a big Sunday night football rematch. That's going to kick off at night. So when you get down to Jacksonville, for those of you traveling to the game, just pack your jersey, pack your terrible towel. You don't have to worry about bringing any Iron City with you, even if you drive down there. Why are you going to bring Iron City? Just come over to the tailgate party by Gameday Tailgate Experience. All you need, really, for this 5-hour party is yourself. Bring yourself. Get ready to party with other Steelers fans who are going to be there as well for unlimited food and an open bar, TVs to watch all of the coverage, some live music and entertainment. I do believe they have a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model that's going to be there. There's going to be former players from both sides of both teams, so got to be able to check that out. In fact, I got to double check with these guys now. I think I know who it is, but I still don't think I'm allowed to say yet. They haven't publicized it, so I have a good idea, and I'll let you know. I'll keep you boned up on those details. But you're probably looking around on the site, and you're like, you're always looking around for coupon codes and some type of discount or something like that. Like, give me a deal, Joe. Okay, I'm going to give you guys listening, all of yins and the gals too, 20% off during checkout if you head on over and use the promo code Steel City, and you could get all the links to purchase the goodies, get all your tickets, and have lots of fun. And hey, even meet me there. I'll probably be hiding by myself in a corner somewhere trying to watch some stuff for my fantasy football teams. But aside from that, you could buy me a beer. Yeah, it's a joke because it's an open bar. Anyway, go over to steelcityunderground.com/Jaguars tailgate for all the information. Jaguars, of course, still pretty stout defense. I don't know that the Steelers still looked like they had a little bit of Swiss cheese. They started out good with the 3-and-out. They did that at the beginning of the second half, too, which it didn't look like it was going to happen because a penalty brought back a really nice play by Cam Sutton, by the way, who I think had a pretty solid game. I think most of the guys in the secondary had a solid game. The one that I had in my predictions was I thought A.J. Green was going to be held 5 or less catches and well under 100 yards. He was held under the 100 yards, but he ended up getting a little bit more of a chunk of it on the final scoring drive that the Bengals had there. I was actually saying Tyler Boyd was going to have a bigger game. And at that point, he had 5 for 55, and Boyd had 7 for 62. Now, he picked up 30 more yards on 2 catches right there toward the tail end. And, of course, that all happens because he gets large chunks not only anytime Joe Hayden wasn't on him, there was twice, I believe, that it was Vince Williams or one of the linebackers or somebody that isn't a DB covering him. Speaking of
Vince Williams, many times.
Yeah, that's got to be fixed. I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily want Ryan Shazier if he were healthy 100% on A.J. Green, but I felt that I felt Joe Hayden was more than capable of clamping down on him, and I also well, my jury's out on Ernie Burns. That's enough. I won't say anything else about him. Thank you for putting him over on the sideline and putting Cody Sensabaugh in and letting Hayden pretty much shadow A.J. But when A.J. was in the slot, you already knew what was coming, where the ball was going. And there was one other play that was very similar to that. That was the Uzoma, their tight end, making a big play over the middle there. Once again, that soft zone coverage that they find behind the linebackers in front of the safeties and whatnot. And it's I think that's just going to be a product of what their defense is. But overall, I mean, they got to the quarterback sometimes. No one's infallible. TJ Watt was kind of, taken out of this game at times. I have a grown-ass man for you. This is one that's going to maybe surprise you. Maybe you saw this the same as I did. One Stephon Tuitt.
Oh, yeah, baby.
He abused the right side of the Bengals line.
He was he was consistently getting pressure. The one sack he did get just blew up that side of the line. The way he looked before he got hurt last year. That one game where he was just uncontrollable. And that's what we expect from him. That's exactly what we hope he's going to be. And this is the first time I've really seen it. We've seen like flashes and glimpses of it. Every now and then he'll have an explosive play. But he was consistently blowing up that side of the line today.
Yeah, and we had talked about that because Billy Price was out, and I wasn't too sold on their right guard and their right tackle. Me and Zach had gone over that, Zach being the professor, of course. We don't know if he's Dr. Meckler with his evil laugh, as the evil doctors have, but kind of a mastermind with stuff and an offensive lineman, or I should say he's an offensive lineman guru, but he's that whole thing, the trenches, that's his bag, baby, right there. Yeah. So, we're going to have a surprise for some listeners this week too, but we'll talk about that at the end. Just made me think of something. Who else on defense can we talk about? I mean, Javon Hargrave kind of got a cheap sack. I think Vince got a cheap sack in there. And then, of course, Tuitt got the one, and he totally manned up and owned. And I said, yay, he shows up in the game book now with actual numbers, because there wasn't a whole lot to support, him being the grown-ass man that he is. But we're almost giving everybody grown-ass men awards now. We're going to almost have to give one to, I don't know, like half the team or something. They're going to have to share it. We'll all engrave the name right under it and something like that.
I'm going to give you the flip side of the grown-ass man award.
We said it already. Artie Burns, and then I moved on.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not moving on because he needs the teeny man award, or the very small child award. I don't know. Look, it wasn't the worst game Artie's played. But the issue is it stands out when you do just incredibly bonehead things. The one touchdown where he just completely misread what was going on and got completely blown up in coverage. He wasn't looking for help over the top. He just blew it. And then, I'm sorry, the one that really is getting to me and makes me glad they sat him down.
I'm shaking my head.
It makes me wonder why, is the pass interference, because he's in perfect position on this fourth wide receiver. And I'm sorry, if you can't beat a fourth wide receiver without illegal contact, which is minimally what he did, but, got called pass interference, which I get technically because he did push the guy out of bounds. If you can't beat a fourth wide receiver, then you aren't a cornerback 2 or 1, and you need to start rethinking things. That bothered me, and it will bother me for a while because it's just dumb. He was in great position on that ball. It was not even necessary. All you had to do was turn around and look for the ball.
And it was overthrown. There was no way that I'm forgetting who it is. It wasn't Core.
No, it was some long weird name, Fajiti Hidi Beatty. I don't know.
It wasn't Erickson, was it?
It might have been Erickson. It might have been Erickson on that one.
I mean, it was terrible. It was just bad. I don't know what else. I can't say anything to defend him.
Terrible.
I hate ragging on our boys, and I think I think Artie has talent potential. He has all the physical tools, but upstairs, the light bulb's got to come off somewhere. He's going the path of Cortez Allen.
Yeah, he's got to get it together, and I don't know what that means. I don't know how they go about it. But look, when Rod Woodson, the real 26, tweets about you and basically says you've got to do that better, you got to do it better, man.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to think here. I don't have a whole lot else on the defense. I mean, it'd be nice to get off the field here or there, but it's not like the Bengals offense was terrible coming into this game. They have a lot of weapons. I thought the Falcons had more weapons too, but you're playing on the road. So I get it. I get it. We talked about some of the coaching moves or mistakes here and things of that nature. So I almost feel like we're going to wrap a bow on this episode. Look forward to the bye week where we've got some real exciting stuff coming. Can't say it just yet, but it's coming. And when it's here, I think a lot of Yens are going to be happy campers out there.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it as well. I will close my little bow on the defense and saying that it wasn't as bad as people think. People are going to beat Cam Sutton up because he got beat a lot by this 97-foot tall tight end, and he's not a big guy. But he actually played that guy pretty tough. He had one good pass breakup, and he tackled him. He didn't let him get behind. I mean, he tackled the catch. He did all he could do against that particular tight end. It was a tough matchup. I agree. Something has to be fixed when you're putting – Vince Williams and TJ Watt and these guys on Tyler Boyd and AJ Green. Every time that happens, it's going to be a completion for a first down. They just can't keep doing that. And I get it. Maybe they thought they were going to get pressure that they didn't get, and maybe it was going to get overlooked. But that is a hole in their defense that is blatant and bad. But that being said, this was a hot offense. This was a hot team. They played another hot offense last week. They only gave up 50% on third down. I can live with that kind of game from this defense. They got to Dalton, maybe not as much as we would have hoped. And I think TJ Watt was dinged up at some point during the game. Even though he got back in, he probably wasn't 100%. So it's good that we have the bye week. I'm not disappointed in the defensive performance. Yes, they let them score, but guess what? It happens. They're at home. That's these guys' MO. They did the right thing, let him score fast so that Ben got the ball back with time.
Yeah, Tua was actually credited with an additional quarterback hit as well in the game. And you mentioned Cam Sutton. It's funny you brought that up because now this is what I was kind of talking with my cousin who tends to get out of his mind and then ask me, what game am I watching all the time because I'm a little more positive or whatever. It's like, he's in perfect position. He's a smaller corner against a big tight end, and they need to get Morgan Burnett back out there is what needs to happen. Hopefully Morgan Burnett is healthy and also capable, but I don't mind Sutton in that type of role either, and he seems to be a pretty good form tackler for the most part. I can't say that I point at the TV and I'm like, oh, there's Cam Sutton missing another tackle or something like that. I can't say the same thing for Artie Burns, who wasn't known for being a good tackler coming out of college as well. Cody Sensabaugh could get in there sometimes, and Cody, I think when we start seeing some of these, even like the Hocus Pocus grades from Pro Football Focus that we talk about, Hocus Pocus Pro Football Focus, I'm almost like Le'Veon Bell rapping over here. I'm bringing the heat. But we're going to probably see that Cody Sensabaugh had a pretty solid game. Joe Hayden, for the most part, had a pretty solid game. Quiet games with Terrell Edmonds, and even Sean Davis, I think, is starting to look improved in that role. So hopefully these guys don't come out flat with the bye week because we're going to get a week off here, and then they get to host Cleveland. So the best of both worlds because they got a bye and a home game. So they don't even have to travel on the road. I'm kind of excited about that. Know what else I'm excited about, Brian? Have you seen these crazy dress suit blazers that Shinesty makes?
I have. They're awesome. They're lit. You know what they are? They're the bomb.
I think that one's aging yourself, buddy. But Shinesty's paired up with us here at Steel City Underground, and I want to tell everybody about a giveaway contest. This is going to run for 2 weeks, so it's going to go through the bye week and the Browns week with us picking the winner shortly after the Browns game on the following day. Steel City Underground and Shinesty are giving away a Pittsburgh Steelers NFL Game Day blazer. So make sure you head on over to steelcityunderground.com/Shinesty. That is the word shine, SHINESTY. So the last part's kind of like dynasty, you know, get it? Rhymes. And I mean, they've got everything from ball hammock boxers to Christmas suits that they sell, but they're giving away one of these game day blazers. And I mean, it looks absolutely wild. I guarantee it's going to float a few of your boats that are out there. And this is a cross promotional multi-platform contest since it's running. Any of the posts that we put out on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram with the hashtag Shinesty Steelers giveaway is eligible for you to enter. You can enter once on each of these, but to see the official rules, once again, go to steelcityunderground.com/Shinesty for your chance to win, and there will be multiple chances. Brian, that's all I got, buddy. Thanks once again for joining me today.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time. It's always good to get on after a Steelers win. And you know what? I was up till 3:30 in the morning last night, and I don't feel it at all.
That's great, man. I got a lot of sleep because I was up till 3 in the morning the previous day, so I needed it. I slept like a baby, and now I'm going to go party like one, too, and just, I don't know, going to run through walls and stuff like Jack off The Incredibles, but I digress. Until next time, folks, my name is Joe. His name's Brian. We ask you to be safe, be good during the bye week. Be good. Check back in with us. We got some cool stuff going on. Check out the contest. Check out the Jaguars Tailgate. And we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.